on News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
O'Connor and Company.
Good Wednesday morning, 6:37 now on O'Connor and Company as we continue our post-election night hangover here and sort out what it all means, or what it doesn't mean for that matter, and sort of blow through some of the conventional wisdom hype you might be hearing as well. Coming up at 7:05, Ken Cuccinelli knows a thing or two about Virginia politics. We'll talk to him. 7:35, Matthew Hurt. He's that Republican poll watcher in Arlington County who got absolutely verbally abused by that deranged Democrat yesterday. He'll tell his story. 8:05, FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr. And 8:35 brings us Ian Lovejoy, one of the bright spots last night, winning his House of Delegates seat for the Republicans. I'm Larry O'Connor alongside Julie Gunlock.
Good morning.
Good morning, Julie. Cal Thomas is with us, of course, legendary syndicated columnist and author of the book A Watchman in the Night, where he recounts in memoir form the things that he's seen over his years covering politics in the nation. Cal, good morning.
Good morning, Larry and Julie. Nice to be with you.
It's very easy to jump to conclusions and make broad pronouncements about an election result, and that's exactly what we're seeing from a lot of observers who say, well, this is all about abortion. And everything we've seen yesterday from the Ohio referendum, which clearly was about abortion, to the results in Virginia and Kentucky, it's really all about abortion, or it's about Trump. Cal, what do you think?
Well, it's not about just one issue, except, as you say, in Ohio. You had redistricting in Virginia. You still have the problem of Northern Virginia and Richmond being overwhelmed with Democrat voters. And so there are a lot of issues there. But I think that from the pro-life perspective, and I've thought this for some time, that pro-lifers need to reform the way they present this issue. We've had over 60 million legal abortions in this country, and people are now concerned about low birth rates. And I think that's one of the factors leading to the open border, getting more already born people in the country to do jobs that people who might have been born would have done. So, you know, the left wants to continue to argue about rape and incest, but just 1% of women obtain an abortion because they became pregnant through rape, and less than 0.5% do so because of incest. I think we need to turn this argument around on the pro-choicers and saying, well, you're for no restrictions at all.
Yeah.
You're for abortion at the moment of live birth. You remember former Governor of Virginia,
Ralph Northam,
Rob Northam, who was a pediatrician, and
Yeah.
said if a woman changes her mind after the baby's born, just put the child aside and make it comfortable and let it die. That's the radical position, and that's the position that pro-lifers ought to be arguing.
Well,
Cal, I agree. And listen, as somebody who interviewed pretty much all of the Republicans in Northern Virginia who are running over the last several weeks, I can tell you they didn't want to talk about it. And they didn't talk about it. They didn't mention it. And listen, fear is a huge motivating factor when people vote. And if you know that if all you say is Democrats are scaring you about abortion, well, you're acknowledging that there's something to be scared about. So you need to assuage those fears. You need to say, I'm not going to do what they're telling you, but here's what I do believe. And they need to be able to say that. They can't just ignore the issue.
Well, you don't need me, Larry. That was an excellent analysis. That's exactly what I would have said. Yeah, you're right. I mean, if you're not talking about it and your opponent is talking about it, then you're losing by default.
Yeah.
If that's a major concern, especially among younger voters, and it is, you need to make the case about why your position is the correct one. Otherwise, it defaults to your opponent.
And go ahead, Julie.
The other issue is many of the restrictions that they wanted, that the Republicans are talking about, are tiny restrictions on abortion, not anything like what the Democrats are suggesting, that they're outlawing abortion. I think there needs to be better education on this in terms of safety for women who are seeking abortions, that they not be done in ways that can harm them. I do think that the Republicans really do need to, in fact, talk about abortion more, like you and Larry are saying, because I really do think the American public is woefully sort of misunderstands the issue.
Well, Julie, you're right, and we are in not a culture of life, but a culture of death.
Yeah.
Look at this Jewish man who was killed, and how the media treated it out in Los Angeles. They say, well, he hit his head on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
and that's why he died. Well, yeah, but somebody hit his head before he hit his head.
Right.
And we and the media, of course, are not going to be helpful in this. I just think that we are in a culture of death. The shootings in streets in Chicago, all of the things we see, the mistreatment of people, the horrible language that's used now, the anti-Semitic language, the attacking of Jews just because they're Jewish on college campuses, the failure of some college presidents to denounce this kind of behavior, all of it fits into an anti-life narrative. And we have to turn that narrative around because this is killing babies. But the middle ground is about 15 weeks. That's what Glenn Youngkin was arguing for in Virginia. He didn't get it. So I think the pro-lifers need a new strategy if they're going to win elections.
Cal Thomas, we'll leave it there. It's always good to talk to you, sir, especially you're a sage on a day like He does like to drop the mic on me. I think he does it on purpose.
I think it is too.
He does. It's the favorite thing that he does. All right, Cal, you have a good morning. Cal Thomas. I got big holiday news for you. The Larry Wine Club is back for our final